Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the DNVR Rapids Podcast. It's Losers Lounge.
I was about to lose my life there.
It's Losers Lounge. It's Mitchell Carroll, your host, and it's Cowboy Super. Yeah.
Tonight sucked.
It did. You know what doesn't suck? That Abs hat. That's sick.
Oh, it's fire. Yeah, man. Shout out my brother. Got it as a birthday gift. He knows the style. He knows what's good. Those kids, man, I'm telling you, they know what's hip.
Man, I wish we could talk about cool hats and the Abs and really anything except this game tonight. Rapids lose their 4th and 5th fall 0-1 to Seattle at home. Lost consecutive games at home for the first time this year. Lost 3 straight for the first time this year. Bad news bears going on in Commerce City right now. Yeah.
It just feels like this team is kind of lost, right? Feel they kind of lost a little bit of hope. The actual key to the engine to the car that is the Colorado Rapids, Cole Bassett, feels like without him the Rapids can't do much. It's funny because when you don't have Djordje in the lineup, they still found ways to win. You don't have Rafa in the lineup, they still find ways to win. Even Kevin Cabral, Cole's out, and this team is completely different.
Right. Yeah, like completely different. But that's an interesting point. Yeah, Cole's out, but he was on his roughest stretch of games, right? He didn't get on the score sheet at all during Leagues Cup. Just the 1 assist in MLS played before the injury. I don't know. It's interesting. You know, I don't know how much Cole changes these results or most of these results. Maybe tonight you can find a point. I don't know how much it changes SKC Minnesota Galaxy, right?
I think one thing we underestimate quite a bit is the work pace, right? Like we talk about how much he works, how much he runs during the game. When you're pressing hard and when you have a guy that's covering that much ground, it makes everybody else's job a lot easier. And I think that's what the Rapids are missing. I think that's why they look lethargic, because they're not just covering their ground, they're covering the ground that Cole was trying to cover. And I think the team looks already gassed because Armas in my opinion, hasn't done a great job of rotating the squad throughout the year. He's kind of ran this team to the ground a little bit. He reminds me of Thibodeau with the Bulls. Like, you don't want to play with that guy, where it's just like, it's gonna run you to the ground. And I think that's where the team is a little bit. But B-Ray's completely right. It's a depth thing, right? If he had better depth, he wouldn't be afraid to rotate as much the squad.
Right. I mean, you look at the midfield, right? They basically have 4 playable midfielders, right? Jasper isn't one of those 4, although he did play tonight. You only have right now 2 playable center backs, in my opinion. At least 2 playable center backs that you would put into a playoff situation, right? You have 4 outside backs somehow. No, 5 outside backs?
4. Sammy, Keegan, Reggie, and Travis, I think, are all guys that I'm comfortable in a playoff game.
And Seb, maybe. We'll give him 4.5 outside backs, right? You have
ridiculous, and you only got 2 center backs.
Right.
The depth is not even.
And look, a lot of that's going to be fixed in this next window when the finances get cleared up, right? You have big salaries in Lewis and Lawless off the books. You have the Sam Nicholson and Danny Wilson, money getting freed up. Brian Galvan, money getting freed up. So there's a lot there, but that's another pod. We have to talk about this game. They had lost at home for the first time. So they were really good after losses, and they hadn't lost at home after a road loss all year. Well, that changed, obviously, on Wednesday against Galaxy. No way they're going to do it again, right? That's what you think coming into this. Maybe they make it right. Maybe not. Who knows? Starting lineup, Sam is back. And Cole is not. And Johnny Lewis gets the start with Calvin Harris. What do you think about that starting lineup?
I liked it for the most part. I thought it was the best starting lineup they could get out there. Um, I'm still really disappointed in Calvin Harris the
Yeah.
last couple of weeks. It feels like he just lost all groove, all mojo that he had going on maybe about a month ago. Besides that, I thought Jonathan Lewis was the correct choice. I think he's created the most out of the wingers.
Yeah.
The biggest issue with him is his touch, right?
I thought
That's
he had an okay game, but
yeah,
you're
and
right.
again, it's when he played pretty well. I don't think he played bad, but again, his touch is still not silky smooth or close enough to him because he relies a lot on that speed, which is understandable. So he's willing to let the ball slide a little bit more, and he kind of loses those quick angles. He loses the game against a guy like Nohu or the other or the right back, and that's just something that happens. But I feel like the wingers, no matter who you put out there right now, are just not good.
That's how it's been all year, right? You have a winger play well off the bench, so he gets the start, and then you have a bad game as a start. Winger comes in off the bench, plays well, gets a start. It's just this constant rotation. No, Cabral has really messed that up. He's close, thank God. Yappy was out of the lineup tonight. Interestingly, I think he was the only player I would have wanted off the bench tonight to make a difference. And he wasn't available. It is nothing serious, but they figured you could get an extra half a week of rest going into decision day and playoffs with him, so they held him out precaution. He was just feeling a little more tight than usual after the Wednesday game. Didn't really get better enough into today. They kept him out. Again, I don't know how much. It goes back to that depth issue. What sub could they have made that would have really changed this game, right? Even if Cabral and Yappy are healthy, is this a different game?
Yeah,
Maybe.
it's
maybe.
Just so difficult to think, right?
Yeah.
Like you have one pure striker, you have one pure 10. Then you have a guy like Cole and Omir that can moonlight as 10s, and you have Yappy, a 19 unproven kid, a kid that's unproven and has barely reached 2,000 MLS minutes, as your backup 9.
Yeah.
When you go to your wingers, you have Omir, Jonathan Lewis, Kimani Stewart-Baines, who I think deserves a lot more minutes than any
We'll
of those
talk about
wingers
him
out
for
there.
sure.
And who's the other one that they have? Calvin Harris. So
Yeah.
they have 3.5 that are actually in rotation with Cabral out, and they're all of them just feel a little like you're getting the same thing out of them. The wingers are the weakest spot in the team right now, and I think it's by far. I think they're weaker than the center backs because I think the center backs play good at least for most of the games, even if they're gassed. Like they play good. They're trying to keep the team in actual position to win for a long time, and it feels like the wingers just don't know how to dominate.
Yeah, definitely. The center backs are not. They're not the weakest starting group by a mile, right? Like they are. I don't think anyone's gonna, like, if you had a blank slate to choose a playoff team, choose Lawless and Maxey to be your starting center backs, right? But they're good enough.
They're not a horrible pairing,
right? But just no depth. Now the wingers, none of them can put together even one good start, let alone a stretch of good starts. It's just hoping that you strike gold with one of them. Omir at this point is basically a negative. It's a tough look, and I think B-Ray nailed it right there. If you ask for your choice off the bench down a goal, it's over.
And I'm gonna say this too. I think Jasper deserved a lot more minutes at the beginning of the season.
Yes.
I think if he had gotten those minutes at the beginning of the season, I think he'd be ready for game time right now. And I think that's also part of rotation. But it was bound to happen with a new coach trying to figure out his starting 11. That with brand new guys and everything that's going on, I understand it. But I think Jasper should have been a little bit more in that rotation. And I think right now you have 4 midfielders instead of just 3.
Couple things pregame. New anthem singer. No sparkle boots tonight. Didn't love it. She was trying to do too much. It's the national anthem. Just go down the middle, right? We don't need to see how good of a singer you are hitting all these little, you know what I mean? It's too much. It's too much. It was a bad omen. Didn't like it. Bring sparkle boots back.
It was bad, right?
Bring sparkle boots back. I thought it was an elite kit matchup. I know Dwayne would disagree if he was here. I think those Seattle kits are like as pure of a classic looking soccer kit as you can get.
Especially in MLS with not a lot of history.
Right. It just looks to me like if you took off the badges, right, and you said this is a throwback, English team, right? It's just such a classic looking good kit. I don't know. I love it.
It kind
And
of
then against
feels.
the red, it looked good to me. I don't know. Tonight
If
looked
you
good.
told me that's a French league team, I would believe it.
Sure. Right.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
feels like a French league team. I don't know, something about the colors.
Yeah. I don't know.
Them
I loved it.
fashionistas, like.
Dwayne hates it. I don't know. I think they're great.
I like it too. I don't know if I like the combo tonight, but I thought they are good uniforms. I like them.
Chris Armas was wearing a suit.
See, man,
He hasn't
vibes
worn a
are
suit all
off.
season. Hasn't worn a
Vibes
suit
are
all season.
off. Something about this team, something's breaking them right now, and it's mental. It has nothing to do with them. It might be that they're just all tired, and Chris is trying to find a new way to spark them, right? Like,
yeah.
But there's something about this that just feels very, very like off about what the Rapids were all year. They were like,
Kevin, I'm blocking you, fool. Get out of here. Keep going. Sorry.
oh, Kevin, you always know how to make us laugh and mad at the same time.
Actually, the other thing, and maybe this is another mojo thing, the Rapids were attacking opposite of their usual, right? They were attacking C38 to start, attacking the other way to finish.
Man,
another bad juju.
Kind of to keep up with this whole like Chris Armas' Ted Lasso thing, this does feel like they kind of have to get together and burn something special for them, and then that's gonna break the curse. The Rapids are cursed right now. Yeah. And they feel like they're all trying to find a new mojo. Feels like they're like, maybe if we switch this thing up, we can get it back. And I think they have to realize that they're exhausted. This team wasn't built deep. This team was built very top heavy.
Yeah.
And
not yet, at least, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's not anything bad. We're looking at this at a like 10,000 foot view right now. But you're right. Like, this team is just gassed all the way through. And from top to finish. Even Zach looks like he doesn't want to run for every long ball anymore.
Yeah. From the start, this ref was getting some hate, right? Like, Djordje gets shoved down right at the edge of the box to start in the first, in the second minute. And it turns into a huge break the other way. Oli, who had his best half of the season was the first half here. He had a clearance there. 10th minute, Maxu had a huge clearance. Basically, Seattle was getting breaks, but defense was getting back fast enough to not allow shots, right? Like, not allow clean shots, right? Like, defense was getting back. The double pivot was getting back. I thought Oli and Ronan were flying around, and I thought Maxu and Wallace, Wallace, had a couple missed slide tackles that kept breaks going longer than they should, but overall, they were able to get back in. That's when the Armas defensive system is working, right? Is when that double pivot isn't getting caught too high and out of the play defensively. And that's what's been missing the last 3 weeks when they've just been getting absolutely burned on the break. Tonight, they've been able to hold them up and just allow reinforcements to get there in time to help. And honestly, if this defense had shown up in the last few weeks, they're probably in a different standing position right now on the table.
At least 2-3 more points.
Yep, 100%.
At least.
Calvin had an emergency one right after that. In the 15th minute, had an emergency save. Rapids get the first corner of the night. These short corners. I understand that you're significantly less likely to allow counters, right? And like have bad numbers when you do the short corners.
Yep.
But you don't put the ball into the dangerous place, right? Like, you get a free chance to put the ball into a dangerous place. Take it. I hate short corners. I'm so done with short corners. This is where analytics is wrong. It just is. Get the ball into the most dangerous place you can.
I mean, the team just feels scared right now. It feels like they're playing very, very scared. They know their back is against the wall and the gloves are up. Instead of punching back or trying to punch out of the corner, it feels like they're kind of just trying to weather the storm a little bit more than actually punching back.
Oli had that nice shot about 27th minute there. Oh, no, sorry. Right before that, Lewis had his best play of the night. Big, long ball. Caught to the edge of the box. And then Djordje had this rocket that got blocked. But, man, that you're like, okay, something's happening here. Something's happening here. Oli gets a nice shot from outside the box that goes wide. Yamar picks up a yellow. And you're like, okay, something's going on here, right? Great.
Yep.
That's when the ref – oh, my God. I was getting tagged and stuff on this. Fry tips the ball over the crossbar. Give a goal kick. What world? What world?
Mitch, I think your mic went out.
Really?
Very quiet, brother.
Quiet right now?
Chat, what do you think? There we go.
Good?
All good.
All right, tight. Good. Anyway, C38 wanted to they were gonna do bad things to that ref. Oli, man, he just kept making plays defensively to close out the half. He was 25 of 25 passing in the first half. Most passes on the team. This is the future. Oli is a future MLS guy, I think.
Yep.
It was a great half.
Go
ahead.
Real quick, kind of talking about Oli. I know we really like Oli's game, and I think he did play a very good game for the most part. Him and Ronan just can't start together, and I think that's one of the main reasons the offense is struggling so much. When you have a guy like Cole, that when you play a 4-3-3, when you're attacking, that turns into a 2. When you have Cole on, it turns into a 2-3-5, right? Because Cole and Djordje kind of take over those half spaces. You have your wingers out wide, and then you have Rafa in the middle. And that's when you get all those really dangerous chances. The press is working really hard because everybody's kind of pushing forward. But when you have Oli in there, it turns more into a 3-4-3, right? You're kind of loading that middle section, and you all those attacking angles that you get usually are kind of all gone. And I think that's the biggest issue right now with the Rapids, that they're overloading the middle more. Even though it's not because of the inverted wingers, it's more because that just Oli likes to play in the middle and kind of play more of that deep line 6, kind of like a deeper 8. And it takes away from Djordje, because then he has to push all the way back to try to help out, and then that turns into you just kind of lose all like imagination at that point.
The interesting thing about Oli, I was talking about this with Matt Pollard, is he was an absolute killer as a 10 in MLS Next Pro. Dominated, right? Like, absolute offensive force. I think there's a world where he can play the Cole role pretty well, but he just has to get this MLS speed down. Seattle is way too good of a team to be hesitant, to not know exactly what you're doing with the ball, not to be able to even send some one-touches stuff here and there. I think he can get there, but you're right. Right now, Ronan and Oli together, it's just not the recipe right now.
It's just who else do you put in there? That's the issue, right? Like,
Totally.
with Baz hurt, I'd like to see Omir kind of in that position. Omir loves to carry the ball into dangerous spaces. That's something that Cole really thrived in. Omir has played the 10 before. If you start him as an 8, as a double pivot, I think can push up and help that out, and that kind of rotating midfield would be the best way to do it. But that's the only guy I think on the squad that's able to do that, except for Bassett.
Also, just no size, right? The midfield is small. Like, you look at Seattle tonight, it looked like when Alabama is playing like whatever cupcake D2
Middle
school they
Tennessee or
schedule,
whatever,
right?
yeah.
It's such a huge size difference, and that physicality again. Turnover is coming on this roster. Like, there's going to be money freed up to bring in more depth and different players, but right now it's just you don't have the physical edge in these games, and that's tough. It's really tough.
Yeah.
Second half gets going. Rafa shot on goal in the first minute, and me, an idiot, said, "Look at this. They've been so bad coming out of the break, so it's nice that they're the ones that come out on the break. This is great." And literally seconds after I tweeted that, turnover, Morris gets to it, Zach makes such a nice save. It's right there for Rusnak. Maxu almost gets there for the block and can't. 1-0. Ugh.
Max needs to keep those legs close, man.
I know.
Like, how are you gonna get nutmegged from like 15 feet away? Like,
he was close. He was very close. I mean, it was.
He was.
And Zach made a great save. It was just another. It's the classic last year goal, right? I mean, it was a bad turnover, right? A bad play from a midfielder to a center back, and we saw that give up how many goals last year? Probably 30 goals responsible by something like that last year. It was just, it was so frustrating. Yeah.
That starts more in the midfield, right? Mm-hmm. You can't blame the defense because all they're doing is scrambling, trying to get there. Zach tries to makes the best save he could, misses the second one, but how do you blame the defense there? It's very hard to blame the goalkeeper or the defense, and you can't even give credit to Seattle. They just feel like a midfield error. How you said physicality wasn't there, and that leads to the goal, and that's the biggest issue. Like, they're just not focused right now. Like, they have no mojo, no rhythm. The Rapids are just bad right now.
I don't know what Armas is doing in the locker room. I don't know what adjustments they're working on. They're not making any halftime subs. I mean, I don't think he's made a halftime sub all year. But in these 4 losses in their last 5 games, they've given up a goal in the first 5 minutes of the second half. So clearly, whatever adjustments you are making or aren't making, it's not working. Time to change what you're doing in that break. Whoever's making the call, whatever the guy upstairs saw and came down and relayed, we should do this instead. Change that up. Change it up. Because you lost 4 games and you basically, from when you should be able to shore up what you're doing. I mean, especially these last 2 at home, right? Mm-hmm. You're at home. And in the last game, you took a dramatic lead right before the break. And then you turn around and give it up immediately coming out of that locker room. And that is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. It's almost as bad as last year's, last 5 minutes of the first half goals. Except to me, it's worse because you just had the chance to adjust.
Yep. And that does fall on Armas, man. How you said, we haven't seen him. It feels like we haven't seen a halftime sub all year long. And it feels like he's afraid to adjust. Even when the Rapids were coming back in the Leagues Cup and they were like the comeback kids against all, because remember, they were down in most of those games. They came back to win them all in extra time. It felt like the team was pushing more than actual adjustments. We didn't really see a lot of subs that changed the game at those times. And I get it. Again, I understand where Armas is coming from. First year coach, trying to understand the team, and there's not a lot of depth. So as much crap as I want to give him, it's very hard also to be like, what move do you make? What formation? Like, who do you throw in there? Because you are right. This does fall on him too, because he has to get creative with the team and whatever he does have available to him. But it's also like, how creative can you get?
One thing I noticed, and it was as soon as the goal happened, our Djordje, the second it's time to oh shit, we have to chase this game. We have to do, Djordje he goes up to that and is pushing the line and is waiting for a long ball. And that is not when this team and this system works. When it's the Jamie Tart, don't play to me, play through me, right? And this team goes as Djordje goes. And if he's just up top waiting for a long ball, waiting for a pass, and it's up to Oli and Ronan and Keegan and Wallace to get those passes up there, it's not going to happen. And that's where you really miss Cole when you're chasing these games, is because Cole will be that link between Ronan, Keegan, Maxu, Stefan, and Djordje. And then Djordje can distribute from there. But when he's just waving his hand, trying to get a long pass to get a shot off in the box and not making the play happen, it doesn't work. The system completely falls apart. And obviously we know how vital Cole is, but if the second it's like, oh no, we need a goal, Djordje disappears from what works, you're done. You're cooked.
It feels panicked, right? It feels like, just give me the damn ball and I'll figure it out. And I think that's why I think Cole is such It's the key to this game. It's the key to how they play. Because as good as Ronan and Oli are at trying to get the ball forward, at getting it out to the wings and all this, what Cole brought to the table is very unique, which is basically he carried the ball into those dangerous positions, making those crazy runs in those dangerous positions and opening up Djordje, right? How many times did we not see them connect in those half spaces or with Rafa running one side and then Djordje the other one? Like you saw that quite often with Cole, and you see it now, but then guys kind of start running. They don't make the next run to open up the next lane for the next guy. With Cole, because he just doesn't care. Like he is a literal diesel machine, which that just doesn't stop. He went everywhere. He's a coal
Yeah.
engine, actually.
Yeah.
Not a diesel machine. He's a coal engine.
I like that. I
Like
like that.
so, like
Yeah,
it's
he's like an
very
old
hard.
locomotive, right? Shoveling coal in there.
Exactly. So it's very hard to like really be understand how much Cole means to his team because what he brings, it's the measurables. It's things that you don't see on a stat sheet.
I think having Vinesy back is going to help that part, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
making those secondary plays, is having a creative guy around the box. But the problem is, he can only play an hour tonight, so you have to take him off, and so Reggie isn't ready to be that. He doesn't understand all those overlapping runs. He doesn't understand all the interplays between Ronan to Djordje to whoever, right? And you saw it a couple times where Djordje was like, "Man, like you couldn't get that to me," and and I don't know. I don't think he's mad at Reggie. I just think he knows that like if we're not at full strength, this doesn't work. And he just looked so frustrated. Um, so yeah, Reggie came on for Sam. Omir came on for Lewis. I thought Lewis was working his ass off, and you don't get that a lot. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
love taking him off before Calvin when Calvin hasn't had a great stretch, in my opinion. And also Omir hasn't had a great stretch. If you're bringing anyone on, bring Kamani on with 30 minutes. Let him actually find some rhythm and some run, and put Lewis, Kamani, and Hoffa across the top. I don't know. That was my thought. Whatever.
I kind of would have liked to see J-Lo as a 9 tonight.
Yeah, why not?
I
Try
think I
anything.
think his work ethic. I think even Rafa's work rate has dropped a bit, and it's just because he looks gassed. It's not because I
Yeah,
don't think
they
he
are.
wants to
They're
play
tired.
hard. And I think if you put J-Lo and just kind of let him like go hard, get his cardio up a little bit in that position, I think it would open up the wings a lot more. And then you can throw maybe an Omir and a Calvin out there. Maybe you can throw a Kamani and a Calvin, an Omir Kamani, right? And I think that's where they're kind of struggling the most.
Yeah. Kamani did come in at the almost 80th minute. Didn't love it. Morris missed that sitter. Oh man, he did. They should have been up though too. But whatever. Take what you can get.
Jordan Morris can go fuck a damn, I hate that man.
Me too. Don't like him at all. He's the worst. And then there's nothing really to even say. I thought, and then you take off Ollie for Jasper when you're chasing a goal. Like Ollie was the offense tonight. That's crazy. And you're like, you know what? Let's throw Jasper in there to get a goal. It just didn't make any sense. I think Armas is kind of chasing his tail right now. And granted, you take out Sam, you take out Cole, you don't have Yappy. That's three. You got that does change the equation a lot. And Cabral, right? That's four starters. You're not four starters. It's three starters and your
In the
offensive
rotation piece,
sub,
yeah.
right? Like, so I get it. It's tough, but every team is injured down the stretch. That's not an excuse. You just dropped 4 or 5, right?
Yeah.
You got to figure it out. You got to stop the bleeding.
Maybe if you bunker down and go back 5 and try to hit the counters
That's what I
for these
think too.
last.
That's what I think too.
I think that's what they should have done against LA and all these teams. Get them gassed. You have fast guys on the wings. You would have created something, but again, I think this just comes with time, and scooting back a little bit more and looking at some more, you kind of just realize this team isn't built for MLS Cup run yet, right? It's not ready. It still needs a little bit of
No.
time, and that's nothing against what the team has done this year. They've gone out there, they've competed, they've given us a really fun season. 2 guys almost broke records this year. They're probably not going to get it at this point, but it was a hell of a season all the way around. But they're just not ready for that next step, and that's hopefully the rebuild can keep going in an upward trajectory. Because how many times do you see a rebuild go wrong? in the next year because the wrong moves were made.
Right.
St. Louis is the easiest example to look at in
That's
the
a good point.
MLS. Take a look and you're like, they're not there. But then you have success stories like Cincinnati from going through the worst season an MLS team ever has had on this continued stretch of competitive years. Like they can really keep doing that. It's
Yeah.
just up to Poor again, Cronkies and Armas to really want it and keep pushing and not be stagnant or be satisfied with what was created this year.
Oh well, let's get into a break here. On the other side, we'll talk about some stats from tonight. We'll talk about some player grades, any other storylines to kind of focus in on going into the break. But first, we have to talk about our friends at Toyota.
Toyota, we love Toyota.
How can you not love Toyota? They are the best. It's the official vehicle of DNVR. We love them that much. Toyota, the trucks are so sick. Our guy Spence has that he just leased that 2024 Tundra. He's we're just hauling stuff around to different events all over Colorado, and man, I am so jealous every time I see that thing. You got the full size cab. That thing is sick. So this is me saying I've seen a bunch of this new truck. Fully co-sign anybody going and buying that truck. It is so sick. There's not just that though. There's a lot, right? You got the Tacoma is like a Colorado staple. The new Land Cruiser, the new 4Runner. I mean, those are they have 17 models with all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. Absolutely right for this state. But even more so, you have more low and zero emission vehicles combined than any other automaker. 16 different hybrids, like the Tundra iForce Max hybrid truck. They also have great SUVs for Denver, whether you're in the city, heading up to the mountains, whatever, like the RAV4 Grand Highlander. Visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is a proud partner of the Colorado Rapids and the official vehicle of DNVR. We are also brought to you by Empire Today.
Oh, the jingle. I don't remember the phone number. That's
588-2300
Empire
Today. Nice. Look, we love Empire Today. We got you covered from the roof to the floors to what's sitting in your garage here at DNVR. Empire is the best place to get new flooring, period. They let you shop at home, get the right products that you want, quick and professional installation, and they have a price match guarantee. They have copycats, but no one can match them on quality, service, and speed, period. They keep shopping for floors that are simple and the curated product that you want. Their philosophy is to help you find what you need. They don't want to just throw 1,000 different floors. They want to just have the best ones ready to go, super easy. And the best thing you can do with those options, they have the virtual floor designer. You can just look. You can just take a picture of your room. Like I'm looking at my living room right over here. Take a picture of it and then just swipe through floors. Boom, boom, boom. Change your floor, change the floor, change the floor. See what looks good. Keep going. They make it super easy. Don't go to the big box stores. You have the guy you're talking to was in plumbing yesterday and in power tools the day before that. They're not going to help you with floors. Not in the way that Empire does. These are floor professionals. They're the best. And they do all their own servicing of warranties, everything. Just call Empire. They're the best. You can schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners receive a $350 off discount when they use promo code DNVR. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/DNVR for details. All right, we're back. DNVR Rapids Losers Lounge. Tough one, late night, Saturday. Not having a great time with it, Yahya.
Neither are the Rapids.
Neither are the Rapids.
All of us are in deep depression over these last 5 games.
I am very curious what I'm going to go back and watch the presser on YouTube after this. I'm very curious what Armas's reaction was to this game.
I mean, he
Because
can't get mad, can he? Like, how can you get mad?
He can be happy with the defense. I think he can be happy with Steph. And I think you have to come out and say we're not doing good enough. That's kind of what I'm looking for, right? Is like a little honesty time. Like, I get you lost to Galaxy. Galaxy's a great team. I get coming into that like, hey, we have a chance against Seattle. This is good, right? Like I understand why he went into the press conference like that, like focused on the next thing. Tough to beat Galaxy. We didn't move on. But you've now lost 4 or 5, right? You were in 3rd place before that. 3rd. Now, I don't know what's happening in the RSL game. I haven't looked, but if they even get a point, you don't have a chance at you don't even have a chance at a home game or being the host, like the higher seed, right? You are now the lower seed, no matter what. I mean, unless San Jose beat RSL, did they?
No, I think RSL beat them.
Yeah,
they're right now the Rapids are standing in 6th.
Yeah. Now you got lucky that Houston lost, right? Like that's kind of the saving grace of tonight is that Houston lost.
The Rapids are right now in 6th place with 50 points. Right below them, it's Minnesota 49, Vancouver 47, and at 9, Portland at 45. Right now,
Vancouver losing was big too with that game in hand. That was actually really big. I know Minnesota got closer, but it's good that Vancouver lost, I think. So,
and right now Houston is at 51, right above the Rapids in 5th place. You gotta hope that Houston loses on decision day, Rapids win, and they don't have to be on this play-in. Because right now the Rapids are facing a play-in. From being all the way in 2nd place to being all the way in 6th place, it's incredible how much they fumbled the back.
Yeah.
In a way that they had full control of their destiny, and now they're just hoping somebody else loses because you can't go above 5th anymore.
Right, and if you had let's say, I'm not going to just give them 3 points in all those losses, but if you get 3 points from SKC and a point tonight, right? Like how different is your,
that's
how
4 points right there,
right?
And you're 4 points. You're safe in 5th, and you would tie Houston, right?
Yeah.
Like if Houston were to win on decision day, like then you're just tied both at 54.
Yeah, I believe it was our guy, CLO, the homie on Twitter. He sent along a nice little stat here. I don't want to mess it up, so I want to say it correctly. But okay, so in the 5 games to start the season, they were 1, 2, and 2. 5 points. In the last 5 games, so not including decision day, but last 5, 1, 0, and 4. 10 games, 8 points. The rest of the season, 42 points, 13 wins, just 6 losses. Right? Like you found a groove and you were cruising, but you started slow and you're ending terribly.
It's almost like when they figured out that they clinched the playoffs, they're like, we can take our foot off the gas. We accomplished what
they
we
didn't
came
even
into.
rotate. But they didn't even rotate the team though. They didn't take their foot off the gas. Rafa's played 90 minutes of every game since.
That's because who else do they put there? That's the issue. It's depth, and it feels
don't
like
start Yappy on the wing. Start Yappy at striker. Don't start Djordje. Start anybody. Like just like.
It feels like they lost all motivation. It really does. It feels like they don't want to be out there right now. And this is me just speculating. It feels like once they clinched, most of these guys are exhausted and they want to give it their all, but their body doesn't have any more to give after playing so long and not playing so many minutes as a full squad. It's so hard with very little rotation, and our wingers are just not talented enough to keep bringing that, especially when you're facing injuries as well. Like there's just no depth to this team, and I think they're trying to get there, but you're noticing that Oli is more of a replacement for Ronan than for Cole. So you got to go get another Cole guy, and then you might have to go get a winger or two and get rid of one of the wingers that you have.
Shout out, Jared. I haven't seen you in the channel in a while, my guy. Good to see you. Great point or great question. Did the minutes burned on Leagues Cup screw us? I will say no because I'm excited to play in CONCACAF next year. I just am. I think that's cool as hell. I want to play in CONCACAF. Now, did it screw us in terms of ending this season? Yes, for sure. If you had a month off, man, especially after how you got your ass kicked against Portland in game 1, you could have just lost to Leon, chilled for a month, everyone be healthy, everyone be happy, right?
Yeah.
Djordje comes back from a grueling stretch in Paris. He played a bunch, and it was close, right? It was very compact, more compact than any stretch of the MLS season.
Yeah.
And then he comes back and plays all of Leagues Cup. So, yeah, I mean, it would have been great to get some rest, but I wouldn't give up CONCACAF for that.
It definitely burned them.
Yeah.
It screwed the Rapids. It screwed the Rapids in 2024. And that's the truth. It really did.
Yeah.
And
you're right.
The depth did it. The depth as well screwed the Rapids, but it's all part of it, right? That's an added what? How many minutes was that? Another 500 minutes, 400 minutes? Something like that. Maybe 300 to 500
You played
minutes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Played 7 games in Leagues Cup, right?
Times 90, what is that? Like 40, almost 500, 460?
630 minutes if you played all of them.
Exactly. And a lot of these guys played so much, and it's like, and you're right, like CONCACAF is going to have a similar effect next year. So it did screw the 2024 Rapids. Now it's up to Porig and Armas to find the guys that won't screw the 2025 Rapids in the exact same situation.
Totally.
Because the guys are just dragging themselves to the finish line right now, and it's so obvious. Yeah. The commentators kept talking about it. They're like, the guys can't even run anymore. They're not making their same runs. Like, their legs are dead.
Yeah, and you know, I think the move is something along the lines of you need a midfielder that can play that isn't, you know, Wayne Frederick, because he can't, right? That guy should be playing every minute at R2, but he's taking up a bench spot. So you can't have a vet midfielder there, right?
And I like the move, by the way, but you got to play them if you're going to put them in there.
Right. You need another center back, 100%. You need another like starting level center back, period.
Honestly, man, I wouldn't doubt if they go Daniel Chacon and Nate Jones.
No, I think you have to get an MLS level starter that's proven it. In my opinion.
I think you're right. I'm not saying you're wrong, but this is what I think they might be going for. Real quick, James makes a really good point in the chat. Rapids got third place, Rocky Mountain Cup, and they made the playoffs.
That's true.
It's very good.
That's true. And that's 10,000 foot view, right? We're sitting here mad about a loser's lounge. But that being said, and I kind of, you know, I had a conversation at practice like this, Yaya, where you're like, Armas is absolutely correct coming out in that last presser and saying like 50 points, playoffs, CONCACAF, Rocky Mountain Cup. Like, this is a good season for us. No one cares when you lose 4 or 5 down the stretch going into the playoffs. It's just impossible not to care about it. Like, correct. In November, when they're out of the playoffs and we're sitting here talking about, you know, doing our soliloquy on the whole season and talking about how to look at what we saw and how to plan for what we want, we're going to be great, right? It's going to be great. You're going to be like, wow, compared to where we were. I've been listening back to our old losers lounges from the end of last year to find little clips to build a playoff trailer. Some of the things we were saying, man, it's like, it's so bad. I think my favorite one was, and now let the off season of misery commence, right? Like,
exactly.
And it ended up going great. So who knows? But it just sucks that this is how you're going into it, because you've had such a good year, and to end it on such a bummer note of just like not even being in the games. Like tonight, the scoreline looks way better than the play show.
I mean,
you know,
at the beginning of the year, let's be honest, none of us had the Rapids in a home playoff spot.
Right.
We all thought they were going to be 5-9, and we're not the only ones around the league. Everybody thought the same. Now we are here, and it feels disappointing because the Rapids have been so good. But we still got to remember where we came from. We got to stay a little humble and understand that the Rapids are trying, that it is a very hard and grueling season, especially with the guy with like Leeds Cup and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you're right. Like, we can be upset all we want about this, and your feelings are valid. You can be as mad as you want. Let's go to a therapy session together. It's incredible. We'll do all that fun stuff over the last 5 games. But at the end of it, we're gonna walk out, hug each other, and still be grateful for the season we had, the players that were here, and the experiences of Moist Bombito getting his first goal on his birthday and running to the fans, the experiences of
Rocky
beating
Mountain Cup.
Club America, Rocky Mountain Cup, those penalty shootouts in Leagues Cup. At the end of the day, that's what the season's gonna be remembered for, instead of those 5 losses, because none of us thought the Rapids were winning MLS Cup this year. In all seriousness, I said it multiple times. Rapids are winning in Miami. Colorado only wins championships in Miami. It was all tongue in cheek. I get that, whatever, but it's still a great time to be a Rapids fan.
You know, I was ready for us to do victory laps, or not victory laps. I was ready to make fun of our playoff predictions and our standings predictions because we were sitting in third place with SKC. We were in third place with a shitty SKC team, and you're like, sick. Home playoff game, dope. Nope. You just squandered it down the stretch. So, whatever. Well, you're right. This is off-season talk. This game wasn't good enough. You're not playing good enough to win. You're lowering the bar of expectations for the playoffs with every bad loss going into the playoffs.
Another thing we haven't talked about is these midweek games. There haven't been a lot all year. Then they piled them all at the end of the year. Like, the schedule got super crazy for everybody all of a sudden. Like, it didn't make any sense. They supposedly compressed the season because they took a quote unquote workload off because not everybody had to play US Open Cup, but you still had this BS at the end of the season. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, League Cup really screws it, dude. It really does.
And it's like, if you would have played every weekend, I think the Rapids would have been in a better spot. But also, like, these midweek games at the end of the year, like, back to back to back, just didn't make any sense.
Yeah. All right, we'll get into Flowers here on the other side of this break. We will, just kind of wrap it up, kind of talk about what the next couple weeks look like with, decision day coming up and a break and what the show's going to be doing. But first, let's spend some time talking about ourselves. We like talking about ourselves. Here at DNVR, we're very good at it, actually. And we're going to talk about DNVR events specifically. I will be at one in about 10 hours setting up, 10 and a half hours. I'll be setting up the Broncos tailgate tomorrow. Yeah, you speak very highly of the Broncos tailgate.
They're incredible, man. Like, all you can eat, all you can drink for $50. You can also take a ride from the DNVR bar to the tailgate itself. You overlook the stadium. You overlook downtown. You are king of the tailgate at that point. If you're at the DNVR tailgate, you are royalty because you just look over all the peasants who are not at the DNVR tailgate at that point. It's incredible.
We got all you can eat primo hoagies, sexy pizza, Breck Brews on deck, Breck Distilleries there, Riki's, everything you could want.
Liquor on liquor, baby. What else do you need on a Sunday?
You got beer pong and flip cup and shot skis and bags.
Red zone.
Got a DJ, got red zone. It's a blast. And you got all the DNVR homies hanging out. You always get a D-line appearance, and Numbies shows up from the Broncos pod. Yeah.
And the best part of all of it, you don't have to clean after you're done.
You're right. Well, I do, but you don't.
You don't. Listener. If you go, you don't have to clean at all.
Right. It's perfect. We also have some Buffs events coming up next weekend against Kansas State. The late one, 8:15 kickoff means we'll be starting the tailgate around 4 p.m. It's right off of 28th and Arapahoe. And we have a huge lot. Same thing. We'll have some delicious food catered. Guessing it's illegal Pete's. That's usually our go-to up there. But you also have Breck Brew hanging out. We have the Great American Stampede RV will be parked in there, and you can hang out with the Buffs guys and talk about how awesome Travis Hunter is and just have a good time before the game because it's a huge game. We also have Avs takeovers coming up for the season. Eric Lacroix is trying to get some of his old Avs homies, teammates to come hang out and go to the games with us. So it's definitely something you want to look out for. And we have Nuggets takeovers coming up too. We'll be getting to those in the next couple of weeks here. Tons of stuff going on at DNVR. Make sure you check it out at thednvr.com/events. Yeah, what's your favorite DNVR event you've been to?
Ever?
Yeah, ever. Because like today we did our 3-on-3 tournament down at Basketball Social House.
That's a good one.
Had a great time.
Favorite DNVR event I've ever been to? See, man, all I can think right now is about the private DNVR events we do for ourselves.
Sure.
But I think it has to be when Eric Lacroix brings his buddies. We've had, I've gotten to meet Adam Foot, gotten to meet Peter Forsberg. Like when Eric Lacroix puts in something for the alumni and he's hosting and he's doing his thing, it's always such a good time, man. Eric does such a good time. It's such a good host and brings all his friends from like when he was a child, when he was 20 years old, right? And they have a good time for sure.
Yeah. All right, check all that out, thednvr.com/events. All right, we are back. DNVR Rapids final segment. Losers Lounge. Tough scenes. You have any flowers to give tonight, Yahir? Are we even bothering with flowers from the fellas this evening?
Oh man, I don't have any flowers, honestly. No, not. I think we can all just name them real quick.
Yeah,
and I think they all get a small flower, and we can just be a couple of dudes just naming players.
Yeah,
like how dudes do it. Like no need for exclamation. Sack Stefan.
Yes, dog. He was a dog tonight, bro. He looked
Connor
good.
Ronan.
Ollie. The double pivot tonight worked so well. It was a shame the offense had no bite ahead of them because, damn, they worked their ass off tonight. This was Ollie's. That first half for Ollie was the best half we've seen him play, period. He was involved offensively, scrambling defensively, clearances on the break. He was everywhere, man. He played so well. And Ronan is just on fire this last month, 100%. Feels like that's kind of it.
Yeah, I mean, who else? You could maybe throw in a pedal for Maxu and Lawless for only being.
I thought Maxu was good.
Like we can give him like maybe a small flower, like a dandelion, not even like a full rose.
Yeah.
But like, there's not a lot, right? You can't even give it to Coach. I mean, we can give a full damn, but I'll give a.
Sorry, Coach.
I am willing to give a huge truckload of flowers to the fans tonight. Place was packed. It was rocking.
Over 18,000
38 was there having a good time. It's such a shame that they got to see that game instead of a really cool game like we've seen all year. Like, I wish that was what the fans look like for Rocky Mountain Cup. I hope that's what the playoffs look like. But the fans deserve all the credit tonight as well. They had such a good showing all the way through.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I want to give Rafa flowers. I want to give Djordje flowers. They're both, going into last week's game. They were the last game on Wednesday against Galaxy. They only needed 3 goals and assists, respectively, to set the team record. Yeah, I'm looking at you, but Hafa
we look the same.
Yeah, totally
similar.
Bro, get a neck tat.
It's Haya. It's Haya and Hafa.
But man, I don't know if our trackers jinxed them. I think mostly they're just tired. But Hafa's been sitting on 14 goals now for a while, and I thought for sure he was
20.
Yeah, I mean, I thought for sure he'd be breaking that record, at least tying it. And a hat trick. A hat trick does break the record. I'm not going to predict that. Although Wanderers would have to shave his head going into the playoffs, which would be hilarious. But it sucks that we're not giving them these flowers the last few games. It just sucks because those are the guys that you need to win these games, and they're toast.
I have a question for you.
Answer.
You look across sports. This Western Conference, does it remind you of any other sport?
The NBA's Western Conference.
That's what I was thinking.
Because there's one clearly best team, right? And like last year, the Thunder were like, they were the 1 seed, and it was very clear that they were the 1 seed. And then there was a group of teams
who are
right below
dope
that
and could beat the number 1 seed at any point.
Right. And then there was that other chunk, right? And that's where the Rapids are in, right? I was dead set the Rapids were in the 2nd tier. I think they're at the top of the 3rd tier right now. I think you have to put them there because they're not beating the teams. Though,
They're
if you get
with,
those
right?
wins, then you're like, yep, they are in that secondary contender status. But right now they're in the pack of alsos. And that kind of sucks. But they don't have anyone to blame but themselves for playing themselves into that. That's no shade.
Yeah.
Like we said earlier, you had a good season. When you look back on the season, you're going to be happy. But unfortunately, down the stretch, you played yourself down a level. And that sucks. It does. It sucks.
So to me, because I like intersport comparison, because like to me, it's just kind of easy to look around and be like, hey, you're not the only team in the world in any league, and that's kind of happening. So it's very easy to feel like that a lot of times. But I kind of look at this, and this team reminds me of the Nuggets a lot. Like the Nuggets, the year after Jokic came, 2 years like Jokic is kind of sophomore, 3rd year in the league, kind of, where they kind of started getting an identity and kind of started making that push, right? That like, hey, we're making some noise. That's what these Rapids feel to me like. If you want to compare them to a team right now, I don't know who they would be in the NBA. I don't follow it as closely. Maybe you have a good kind of comparison. But that's kind of where I look at the Rapids right now.
But to go along with your Nuggets thing, it's not just when – but here's the thing. It's more like when the Nuggets went into that playoffs without Jamal and MPJ, right? Because you've been down Vines, Cabral, Cole, Yappy. Those are guys that are going to play in a playoff game for you.
It's J-Lu, Facundo Campazzo.
Kind of, yeah. I think that's fair. That's so funny. Facu, man. Oh, God.
What a legend.
I guess.
What a damn Argentine legend. We cannot deny his legend status.
Barcelona legend, not an NBA legend. All right. That's going to do it for us tonight here on DNVR Rapids. We're going to be back midweek, right?
Mitch has a good show planned for that.
I do. Totally. Absolutely. Planned every second of it so far. This is going to be great. And then the following week, leading up to Decision Day, we will also be that will be a Dwayne and Yahya special. I will be in California on the beach with my wife for our anniversary. So it's up to you guys to carry that one. It's in good hands with these two. And we have some there's some things in the works for some new versions of Rapids coverage from us going into the playoffs. However long it is, doesn't matter. Going into it, we'll have just some new stuff that we haven't done before for Rapids, which is fun. Anything else you want to say about that, Yaya?
No, it's exciting times to be a Pitt fan, man.
Totally.
Don't think of these last 5 games as coming back to earth. Think of it of being grateful for what you have. It's not that God hates you.
It's the friends we made along the way, baby.
It's not that every world's crumbling. Not that the Rapids suck. Yeah. It's just a reminder to be humble and remember where you came from. And that these are still Burgundy boys at the end of the day.
That's so funny. All right, plug us out of here, my boy.
DNVR_Rapids on Twitter. Please follow us there. 5-star review wherever you hear this podcast. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're so close to 100K. I've said this for almost a year. I'm going crazy, but we want the damn plaque. We want it. Also, like this video. That shows the higher ups that we're just getting all support that you guys are giving us. And that's the easiest way to show it to us. Mitch, on to you.
Become a diehard at thednvr.com. Please, please, please. You get behind the paywall. You get merch. You get discounts on merch, discounts on events, discounts on your bar tab. All sorts of fun stuff. All sorts of fun stuff if you become a diehard. And it supports us and it supports other shows. It's a really big deal. Also, get your shirts. Store.allcitynetwork.com.
Correct. You got it right.
tight. Our Up the Effing Pids shirt is shipping now, so go ahead and buy yours. You do not have to wait for the printer to be done anymore. It's on its way. So go ahead and get that. More important than all of that, even after a bummer of a loss, the way we always end it, baby. Up the pit.
We all silly like the mayor.